All right, guys and gals, I do apologize for that. For some reason, I guess I was just burning it up so much that Facebook just couldn't handle all the energy that was flowing in that particular live session. So as I want to finish this up, what Joe did is that he got a lesson from his favorite barista. You see, Joe, once again, we're talking about the Go-Giver. We're finishing up the Go-Giver series, and we're not going to let a little Facebook debacle shut us down. Like I said, I guess I was just delivering too much heat that Facebook just couldn't handle it. But Joe walks in and he has this little coffee shop. He has this great coffee shop, and he runs into Rachel. And what he realizes is that Rachel has the ability to talk to everyone. Okay? So as Kevin is going to bring everyone back in, what I wanted to let everyone know is we'll do a quick recap on this video also while we're waiting for other people to join. But we're talking about the Go-Giver, a little business, a little story about a powerful business idea. This came from my man Brock Goss, Mr. 110, who actually reached out to me and offered the opportunity for me to, he asked me to review this book, and he sent it to me. And along with that, he highlighted me today as his weekly 110. I was the first one that he did, and I was so honored and appreciative of that. And what we talked about tonight is the 5 laws of stratospheric success from this book. Law number 1, we talked about the law of value. Law number 2, we talked about the law of compensation. Law number 3, the law of influence. Law number 4, the law of authenticity. And now we want to talk about the law of receptivity. And Joe, whose mind is just completely shot at this point, he's now starting to understand that in order to get, you obviously need to learn how to give. And yet, this law of receptivity is something that Rachel, his favorite barista, okay, this coffee shop that he just has to have his morning coffee from, and what Rachel really is in this story is the connector. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we've talked about tonight, the first law we learned from a restaurateur. The second law we learned from was the CEO of a company. The third law was from a financial advisor. The fourth law was from a real estate broker. And now we're going to talk to the connector or a barista. Okay? And what Rachel really starts talking to Joe about is how every time someone comes into her coffee shop, she's connecting with people at a different level where they either want to tip her or they want to offer her something, or they want to give her a business card, or they want to give her a shout out, or they want to promote her business, or they want to refer her business. And most people are going to say this when you go to give them a tip. Nah, I'm good. I don't need tips. Thank you. I don't want it. Or do you mind if we give your business a shout out? You can if you want. Like they downplay this. And what you're really doing is you're not understanding how to properly receive something in return. You see, what Rachel gives people with her coffee is she gives them an experience. She gives them the opportunity to feel good about themselves. She gives them the opportunity to love being there. That's why every morning it's the same people over and over and over and over again. Consistency. We all have those consistent customers or clients that if we don't see on one particular day, we get worried. We ask, where was so-and-so today? Because you are consistently creating behaviors. Dr. Finch, great to see you. And so what Rachel really starts to show Joe through this process is that because she takes those tips and she tells them, please promote my business. Please send people to me. Please refer me. Is that what she says is the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. You see, remember when I said earlier that right now there may be some people in your life that aren't open to receiving what you're trying to give them, and most people will quit giving people things. You hear this all the time. Well, you know what? I'm just going to stop giving them anything because they don't appreciate it. They don't respect it. Well, are you really giving it to them to teach them something, or are you giving it to them to please them? See, there's a big difference. So if you're staying open to receiving something from somebody, then what you're doing is you're effectively allowing them to teach you something, to offer you value, because they know that that's what they have to bring to the table. So what do you do from that? Well, Joe was like, well, talk to me more about this, because maybe sometimes I don't want something from someone. And she says, trying not to receive is not only foolish, it's arrogant. So I think about homeless people, right, that want money from you. But yet when you go to try to give them food, and you go to try to give them water, and you go to try to give them things, they get frustrated with you. My wife and I were, I was actually traveling. I don't know if my wife was with me or not at this time, but I was actually traveling, and I got off this one exit, and I saw this gentleman that was sitting on the side of the road with a sign and a dog. And so for some reason, guy just tugged on my heart and says, man, you need to give this guy something. So I went down to the Pilot truck stop, and I bought those 2 liters of water for $3. I bought stuff off the grill, was like 2 for $3. I think I bought like 6 hot dogs. I bought a little bag of dog food. And yet the guy was so mad at me that that's what I gave him, that you could see it in his eyes. He took it, but he didn't want to receive it. And I think to myself, is that how foolish and arrogant is that? Man, you're on the side of the road asking people for help, but yet because you didn't get the help that you wanted to in return, or that you wanted in return, you're not gonna take it? It's like, well, man, no wonder you sit on the side of the road, because you're not open to receive anything from anybody. So to you, you'd rather have a $20 bill or a $100 bill than you would a meal. So I think to myself that so many of us are truly not receiving what we're able to give from anybody because we're wanting too much. And we're wanting too much is because we truly haven't understood the power of giving. See, if you're willing to give someone the shirt off your back, then you're always going to appreciate it when someone wants to give you theirs. If you're willing to give someone your last $20, you're always going to be able to receive that help when someone hands you $20. And you're not going to let your pride, you're not going to let your arrogance, and you're not going to let that sense of self-worth inflate to the point where you don't need that $20. What you're really going to do is you're understanding how to humble yourself. And in business, learning how to stay open to receiving things from other people will lead you to the promised land. And I think to myself when I was younger, and how I wanted to have the best words, and I wanted to be heard the most, and I wanted to talk all the time, and how I really wasn't understanding how I just needed to shut my mouth, and I just needed to listen to these old timers who've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, right? And how my dad had been spitting fire at me my whole life, and how I was too stupid to receive it. And we wonder why we go through the same things that our parents tell us all the time that they don't want us to go through. Because we did not humble ourselves to the process, and we were not effectively receiving those gifts that they were giving us. You see, my dad was giving me $1 million advice before he ever gave me a $100 pair of shoes. My dad was giving me $1 million worth of advice before he ever gave me money to go to college. My dad was teaching me how to become a millionaire in my marriage before he ever allowed me to try to pursue a professional baseball career. But yet I was too consumed with wanting to get all those things instead of receiving what he was trying to give me. I was arrogant. I was foolish. So the whole point behind the Go-Giver tonight, ladies and gentlemen, why I really love this book, and why I'm going to put it in the bottom of both of the videos. So video 1 and video 2, obviously video 2 is where the video kind of went haywire on us. I'm going to put a link to where you can go and purchase your copy of the Go-Giver. Now, I believe that part of the go-giving spirit is that Brock Goss mailed me this book. And I'm going to mail this book to someone that I'm going to pick from all the viewers here, because I want this book to become that 4x400 meter relay that we start baton passing across the world. So when this book hits someone else's mailbox, I want you to read it. And then I want you to find somebody you can give this book to. Because what I really want everyone to appreciate and walk away from tonight's review with is that it's the true go-giver. If you're really becoming a go-giver, you're going to have the 5 laws of stratospheric success. You're going to learn the law of value. You're going to be so committed to giving value before you would ever get anything in return that your value proposition becomes null and void. People are buying from you before you even give them that power statement or that elevator pitch. You become indispensable in people's lives. You want to know what it's like to be indispensable? When the economy drops, you need to be the one person that people don't part ways with because you give them so much value. Number 2, you want to understand the law of compensation. You'll never be able to frame your net worth if you don't understand how to give back to your network. So I'm telling you right now, if you want to be compensated for something, your net worth has to become the bottom line to what you're giving back to your network. Number 3, you're going to learn the law of influence. You want to become a true influencer in the game? You really want to understand what it means to influence other people? You're going to do it because you're going to understand how to use 2 of these and not 1 of these. You're going to become the greatest listener of all time, that when you speak, you only have to speak by handing somebody 1 of these, because they're always going to ride with you. They're always going to sign with what you're doing, and they're always going to go to war with you. Number 4, you're going to learn the law of authenticity. Authenticity is breaking down all those barriers and telling people the story of who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Not because somebody changed your life, not because somebody gave you a book or a shirt. I'm appreciative of all this. But this is because Brock Goss understood who I was. He understood why I wanted to do it, and he understood what I was going to do with it. So get down to your core level. Don't be afraid to tell people those moments that you made mistakes. Those moments where you didn't know when you was going to pay for groceries. Right? I can remember a time when I would walk to the grocery store, and as we're going to the line, man, I'm handing stuff out. We're putting stuff back on shelves because I didn't think I could pay for it. Am I proud of that? Yeah. You know why? Because it led me to never have to do that again. But I'm not ashamed anymore to tell that story because that's part of my journey. That's why I am a Mr. 110. And then you're going to learn the law of receptivity. You see, you really need to understand how to receive the gifts that other people want to give you. If somebody hands you a $20 bill, you take that $20 bill because you know what it's like to give somebody your last 20 bucks. If somebody's willing to hand you advice, you take that advice because you understand how powerful the advice you gave someone else really was for their life. But if you're not willing to extend your hand to receive the hand of other people, then don't ever expect to look around when you need help and find anybody that's going to hold you up. Because if you're so arrogant, if you're so foolish to think that you don't need other people in your life, that you don't need messages in your life, that you don't need help, then you're crazy. But if you're even more arrogant and foolish to think that you don't need to give that back to people before you ever ask for it in return, you're always going to be doing the trust fall alone. And the ground hurts when you hit time and time again. You see, they say that success is not measured by what you step out of, rather by what you're committed to step into. But understand this, success is going to hurt. That fall is going to suck. That ground is not going to be forgiving. But it's those hands that pick you up off the ground that make it so much easier to get back up and do it over and over and over and over again. But if you take for granted those people, if you take for granted those moments, if you truly fail to understand how valuable you are to other people, if you truly fail to compensate other people before you ever explain your compensation package, if you fail to influence other people because you're so consumed with wanting their influence in return, then you're going to miss out on all the chances to grow. If you're not willing to be authentic, if you're not willing to look somebody in the eye and let them know you are who you are and it is what it is, hit him with that nature boy Ric Flair, then how are people ever going to really believe you? They don't have to like you, but damn it, they're going to respect you. Because they know you're coming with authenticity. They know that every time you show up that it's real deal Holyfield. And number 5, if you truly fail to understand how to receive the gifts from other people, it's going to be a long haul for you. Because eventually you're going to rebuff so many other people that they're eventually going to leave you. So I really appreciate each and every one of you being here tonight. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that showed up tonight to the videos. I once again apologize that we had a little bit of technical difficulty on the first one. So I definitely encourage you guys and gals to get back to that first video to catch the review. We finished up the tail end of it tonight. My man Bob Burg and John David Mann, they hit a home run. Jason Leonard, great to see you, buddy. Jason Leonard is a gentleman that He and I played baseball together. I'm a little bit older than him. But the first conversation we had was that he always knew that I lived up to the expectations that I would put out there for myself because I was willing to go all in. And Jason Leonard is a gentleman that I've really grown to appreciate and love because he's got a team of people that will go to war for him because he gets in the trenches with him. So I want to say thank you again to my man Brock Goss, known as Mr. 110. Every week at 12:30 Central Standard Time on Wednesdays, he's going to do a weekly 110 where he's going to highlight individuals who go 110%. So if you have someone that you want to highlight or that you think needs to be nominated for the 110% award, look, it might not mean anything to you, but for another human being to even remotely think that Matt Crane is worth a shout out on Facebook, that means the world to me because I know 110 people who wouldn't do that. Okay? So nominate that person. It's because someone nominated me that I was just voted in the top 100 sales experts to follow on Twitter. I came in the list for the first time at number 25, little old Matt Crane from Pulaski, Tennessee. But I'm repping my community hard because I believe in everything that it is to believe in. And I'm willing to commit to giving as much value as possible. Every time you guys watch me on a live stream, every time you watch me on a social media message, I never tell you to buy from me. I never tell you where to go to get my 6-figure blueprint. I just tell you to show up because I'm going to leave you with $1 billion worth of information. And you're going to be able to take all this and you're going to be able to impact your life in a way. And then you're going to call me with 5 people you need me to talk to. That's where my life has changed. That's where my life has transitioned. That's where I'm now retiring my wife from her job. And I'm going to allow her to come back home and do what she wants to do, and that's be for our family and help me keep my schedule clean. So I want to say thank you to everyone again. For everyone that's ever supported me, I appreciate it. We're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you to Mr. Kevin Jones, who's created a movement, Millionaires Against Bullying, MABWOW.com. This is a collective group of individuals. I'm also a part of this group. This is a collective group of individuals who really believe that we have a higher calling in life. That you have a bigger purpose than just collecting checks and being cool on social media and influencing people and dropping messages. This book review series is really for me to highlight authors who've impacted me in a way, whose books and whose messages have provided layers of information that I could learn from and grow from. Dale Childress Jr., I want to say thank you to him. Dale and I had an opportunity to meet in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and Dale is a genuine human being. He gives. He's got tons of value. I didn't think there was many dudes on the planet that was as big as I am, and this dude's got some shoulders on him. So he's definitely somebody that I respect. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to ask you that I'm going to reach out to one lucky person on these videos, and I'm going to mail them the copy of this Go Giver book. And what I'm going to do is Brock Goss actually wrote the date on this book, and he put 110% and he signed it. I'm going to then do the very same thing, sign it, and I'm going to put 110%. And I want this book to become the new bottle in the ocean. I want us to have signatures all over the place. And I just want us to continue to move this book forward and forward and forward. So there he is. Mr. Kevin Jones will be the next recipient of this book. Kevin, I'm going to reach out to you and get your mailing address, and I'll have this in the mail to you tomorrow, my friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Thank you for joining me on the Power of Great, or the Power of Knowledge. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you supporting, commenting, and just being a part of this. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.